Last week we went over Hunter and how to solo file SPIRE the Watcher, and now we're going to go over Warlock. If you don't care about what character you want to run, then I'm going to recommend either skipping this video and watching the Hunter one, or wait for my Titan guide that should be out next week. Warlock is the best for ease of use, but Hunters and Titans can survive pretty well and have way more damage. The Titan video will be out next week like I just said, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Just before you get into the guide, if you ever need any help or are looking for more information, make sure you stop on my streams or hop in the Discord. I'll try to help you as fast as I can, but I might be in the middle of something, so I just ask that you give me some time to finish up what I'm doing. Alright, let's get into the video. Starting off, we're going to be rocking Well of Radiance with, well, honestly, whatever exotic you want. Unlike the other classes, we're going to be running a support super, and for most of the dungeon, you're not going to be taking that much damage. The exotic I'm going to recommend for all of you who want to be using my dim links or copying the build is Karnstein's. Karnstein's is a safe bet, since you'll always be able to proc Restoration and Restoration times 2 super easily. Then, you can pair it with any solar weapon, with a fragment that lets you extend your Restoration to Radiant, to keep this up basically forever. If you don't need survivability and you want something else, a super easy exotic you can run is Starfire Protocol. Yes, it got nerfed, and is nowhere near as good as it used to be, but it's still pretty solid and it's better than nothing if you don't want to run Karnstein's. Moving on to the actual encounters, we're going to skip first encounter since it's just mechanics, and the only thing you can do is shoot the nodes and stay alive. The only thing I can recommend for the first encounter is throw on an Eager Edge Sword just to make everything faster. The second encounter is where we're going to start doing damage and actually need to optimize some strategies. I use Karnstein's for my whole run, but you don't even really take enough damage here to where you absolutely need them. I was just running them for the sake of simplicity, and I personally didn't think Starfire was a good enough option to run for this boss fight. I know I just mentioned that Starfire is a solid option, but I decided to prefer simplicity over the extra damage here. Same thing with Sunbracer, since the boss is constantly moving backwards. For our weapons, we're going to be running Leviathan's Breath with a Void Loader mod, or linear fusion rifles mixed with any solar primary you're comfortable with, and the special weapon is up to you. I decided to run Scatter Signal when using Leviathan's Breath, and Witherhoard or Izanagi's Burden for when I was using linear fusions. The linears I recommend running are the Cataclysmic with Force Times the Charm and Bait and Switch, or the Taipan 4FR with a Triple Tap Frenzy Roll. The reason I recommend these linears is because they aren't aggressive frames and do great damage. Aggressive frames fire and burst, which makes landing all your crits very hard when the boss gets too far away. Remember that since we're on Warlock, damage is going to take a decent bit longer. I average a 5 phase, 4 phase if you're absolutely perfect with Leviathan's Breath, and an average of 5 to 6 phase with Cataclysmic. Now that might sound like a lot of phases, but the mechanics are pretty short and so are the damage phases themselves, so this shouldn't take too long. Now for the final encounter, we have two options. The better damage and faster option would be to swap up our entire loadout and run a Sunbracer's build, which is definitely harder to maintain just before damage starts, or we can stick to the simplicity of running Karnstein's and take the extra phase or two if we want to guarantee a little longer run, but overall a lot easier to use. I'm going to recommend running Karnstein's if you don't want to swap anything up, but just know it might take a little bit longer, maybe about 5 to 10 minutes. Sunbracer's does work well for damage and should guarantee a 4 phase, but even with Karnstein's, if you get your damage perfect, you should just be able to barely maintain a 4 phase. Regardless, the ease of use with Karnstein's and the only negative being about 1 extra phase is too good to pass up over swapping all of our stuff around just to make it a little bit faster. Besides that, we're going to swap from Leviathan's Breath over to Dragon's Breath and Scatter Signal or whatever good fusion rifle you have. As I mentioned in my Hunter guide, the boss loves to rush you into a ton of damage, but as long as we don't let him get right in our face, we should be fine since we have Well of Radiance. Dragon's Breath and its ignitions should manage to keep him still for at least a while, which means he should never get that close to kill us. We're going to be playing a bit closer so we can fusion rifle him and get off full damage. I'll explain more later, but just remember to master the easy damage rotation and stay in your well, and you should be fine. Alright, time to go over the detailed version of this loadout, and we'll dive straight into phase examples so you can see exactly how I play all of this out. Alright, so first we're going to go over our loadout. I'm rocking Well of Radiance, obviously. I'm running Phoenix Dive because I like Phoenix Dive better than the Rifts. It's faster, it gives me a burst of cure. I don't have to sit in the Rift and sit still the whole time. And then if you're using Sunbracers, this is basically a must if you want to rock Restoration times 2 and stay alive. So keep that in mind. Any glide you want. I just like Burst Glide. Makes me move faster. Incinerator Snap. Faster animation. Wider AoE. I like this better than Celestial Fire. The cooldown is also shorter, so it's nice. I'm running Fusion Grenades just for a little more damage, in which with Touch of Flame, they explode twice, so more damage. It's very nice. Solar Grenades are also very good. Anything else is kind of useless, though, besides Healing Grenade. So, I'm running Icarus Dash because I like the mobility better. Heat Rises, honestly, is only super useful when you're playing the Sunbracer's loadout. So, any other time I'm probably running Icarus Dash. Heat Rises isn't useless, though, so don't keep that in mind. And then I'm running Touch of Flame. Your grenades are just better. Healing Grenade, you get the Restoration times 2. Solar Grenades have a little lava blobs everywhere. And then Fusion Grenades will explode twice. And I'm skipping Firebolts because I don't know anybody who still uses those. For fragments, we are rocking the Ember of Empyrean as a must-have. This will keep our restoration up when getting solar weapon or ability final blows. Super, super useful. Make sure you run those. Ember of Torches will give us Radiant off powered melee attacks, not kills. Very useful as well. Although a lot of the mods this season will give you Radiant. And when you're in Well, Radiant doesn't count, like as well as Radiance, you know, so you don't need to worry about proccing it in Well. Ember of Ashes, you can supply more Scorch stacks to targets. Useful. If you're going to swap anything out, swap this out, though. And then Ember Singeing, we get our class ability back faster when we're scorching targets. So yeah, if you're going to swap anything out, swap out Ember of Ashes. Ember of Mercy, whenever Bungie fixes it, is going to be very good too. Picking up Fire Sprites. You can build into Fire Sprites and pick up those and get Restoration very easily as well. But I can't recommend it because it's still bugged. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the bug is whenever you have a Restoration timer above the default or whatever, whenever you pick up Fire Sprites or proc Restoration, it'll reset it back to normal. So kind of fucks up the whole flow. For armor, I just showed you the little, if you want to take a screenshot of the whole armor mod thing, you can. I'm rocking 2 heavy ammo finders. We're going to be getting our super back plenty fast. And then Harmonic Siphon is very, very important. We're going to be generating a lot of orbs through Harmonic Siphon compared to Firepower. That's what I'm running. But you could also run the other one, Heavy-Handed, because you're getting your melee back really fast. So you can swap those in and out. We're not necessarily running. If you're going to run a Sunbraces build, run Firepower. And then we are running Momentum Transfer, get our melee back faster. You can swap this out with the other one as well. And then Bolstering Detonation will get our class grenade back, or class ability back when doing damage with grenade. Nothing super useful there. Although, one thing to note is that for damage, you need to, if you're using Leviathan's Breath, you need to have a Void Loader on if you want to get good damage. This will increase your DPS significantly. So please make sure you have a Void Loader on. I mentioned that earlier in the video. Make sure you have that on. For our chest, I don't remember the distance for sniper range, but there's not a lot of concussive damage until the final boss. And you're never close enough to take melee damage. So I just have Sniper on. If you really want, though, you could honestly just get rid of this and put on another resistance mod and double stack one. I'm just going to run Sniper to play it safe. You're really never taking that much damage in this dungeon anyways if you're playing it sort of fast. So I'll make sure you have a reserve chest plate on standby. And then for, depending on what kind of weapon you're running, second boss, I'm running Leviathan's Breath or Linear, so you can swap it in your surges, swap your surges around however you want. And then if you are running out of ammo and you're not finding enough, make sure you throw on at least one scavenger, or just you throw on one scavenger, because scavengers don't stack, I mean to say at least. Throw on a scavenger mod, and then, or you can throw on a separate boots that have scavenger mods on, and you can swap to them. I think that might be a little too much for an outdated dungeon, but up to you. You can do what you want. And then I'm running 2-time dilation mods, like always, no matter what, because I want to do as much damage as possible. And then for the final boss, so for weapons now, it's probably a better way to do this, will be, I'm running Eager Edge, first encounter. I don't care what other guys are running. Eager Edge. Second encounter, Leviathan's Breath seemed to do the best for ease of use and damage. Like they were pretty, it's very, very good for Warlock at least. For like Hunters and Titans, I'm still going to guess Cataclysmic will be better. And then I'm running Scatter Signal and Chaos Mini Tool. You don't need to run Chaos Mini Tool. You could throw on Amit or Adhorative or any other solar weapon. Like I was running the Staccato, but it's a scout rifle. Just trying it out. Not a big fan. But I use this in solo round, so whatever. I thought it would be nice. When you're running a linear, make sure you throw on something like Witherhoard or Izanagi's. Witherhoard if you want to proc bait and switch easier and over time. And then Izanagi's if you want to get that big chunk damage. So I would probably run Izanagi's over Witherhoard, but Witherhoard is still very, very good. And then for the final boss, so I'm back to Scatter Signal, Chaos Mini Tool. And then Dragon's Breath. Make sure you swap your surges again here. And then just keep in mind that if you're running Argent Ordnance, there is a cooldown for 4 seconds in between each Argent Ordnance proc. So you'll shoot your rocket, it'll consume one of the armor charges. It'll do more damage. All of Dragon's Breath will be consumed, or will get affected by it. So the initial landing, the spurts of lava, the ignition, and the explosion all are affected by Argent Ordnance. But just keep in mind that the cooldown is 4 seconds in between, which should be plenty, I think, for this boss. The boss timer is only 15 seconds-ish, so you'll probably run out of armor charges regardless if you're using Argent Ordnance, but whatever. I think it evens out at the end. And then yeah, if you're running Karnsteins, This whole loadout is fine. And then if you're swapping to stun bracers, I'm not going to recommend swapping to stun bracers. It's just something I wanted to bring up. Because you can get more damage off with stun bracers. It's just very hard to proc, and I'd only ever use this in the final boss. Make sure you swap back to heat rises, and then you're using solar grenades as well. Besides that, I think that is it. Again, if I missed anything, I will let you know in the comments, or you can let me know if I missed anything in the comments, and then I will update it. That is it. We are going to move on to the damage phase now. I will see you in just a second. Alright, so first encounter. Nothing too crazy. A lot of it's just surviving. I'm going to show the whole thing like I did in my Hunter guide. So if you already saw that, you don't need to watch this. It's basically the same thing, except we're using Karnstein instead of Assassin's Cowl. This is me re-recording this first part, so it might sound out of tune in a second, because my mic had issues. So I didn't explain anything crazy, but I'm going to recommend doing a normal solo run first, and then doing the solo pulse run after, just so you know everything and you iron out your mistakes. The Hydras, you don't really have to worry about them. They don't do enough damage to put you in a pickle or anything. Just gonna go around and shoot all the nodes, ignoring the Hydras. For Hunters, this is pretty easy because you can just Assassin's Cowl. You don't have to worry about it. But for Warlock and Titan, you're gonna get shot more. More flinch. You might get punched off the map. So just keep your eye out on it. Also, when you're going up fast enough, which most of the time you have an unbelievable amount of time, you should never have to shoot another Minotaur throughout this entire thing. So, the second floor is probably the easiest floor. It's very simple, very straightforward. Another thing I like to do is, depending on the... So, like, for the third floor... sorry, the first and second floor, the nodes are right next to each other. The starting nodes. The third floor, they're on the opposite sides, though. So, I'll show you in a second when I get up there. Right here in Proc and Restoration times 2. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes I do a finisher and it doesn't give you Restoration times 2. Not entirely sure why, if I'm doing something wrong. But it's like every like 1 in 10 it doesn't give me it. So, I don't know. But I'll show you right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start off one node completely. And just before I finish it, I'm going to start doing the other one, because I can finish them both at the same time later. Pretty sure it's right here where I forget the nodes. No? Okay. I almost ran out the map there. Egret saved me, locked onto the target. Yeah, so right here I'm following the path of the other one. So we're going to skip a little bit of this. Because it took me a hot second. Alright, here we go. So, ignore my mistakes. The last time I did SPIRE was when I was doing Hunter testing, so... Well, I mean, it was only a week ago. Alright, so yeah, right here. I'm almost finishing the last one, but then I'm going to start the next one. And then by the time I'm almost done with this one, I can shoot both of them at the same time. But besides that, I think that those are really the only tips I can give you. Ignore the Hydras. You should never have to re-proc Arctrician, play on words. You should never have to proc that shit again. And then none of the enemies do enough damage to where you're going to be jeopardized. So, oh yeah, that's it. First encounter, very simple. Nothing crazy. Move on to the second encounter now. Just so you know, the first time you start this, if you walk too close to the Minotaur, it'll automatically start, and then for the rest of the time, you just shoot him. I don't know why. It's inconsistent, one or the other. So, run fusion grenades, Leviathan's Breath, Karnstein's. Start out by immediately Incinerator snapping the Minotaur. You can just throw a fusion at him. What I like to do is I like to shoot all 4 of these nodes first. That's pretty common though. And then I go left. This is just the path I've always done. So I'm gonna go left first. Shoot all the nodes. I have them all memorized. I've done this a million times. Especially when I was doing it back in the day for my first actual solo boss on this. But yeah, you don't have to shoot any of the last nodes. If you get a heavy big drop on one side, and you need a heavy, a good thing to do would be to start the damage on that side. So you can leave the last nodes alive. You don't have to worry about finishing them off, because remember, the boss will go to the last one that you finish. So if you finish one, you're not gonna be able to do that side anymore. Another thing to note is that you don't. If you shoot the wrong node, if it's in the order 1, 2, 3. If one is charged, and you shoot 3, wait a second, and then shoot 2, you'll still get it off because it lingers for a little bit. So you can keep that in mind. If one is easier to shoot, and then while you're moving and like you have the momentum, the transition, shoot the next one, then you should be good. Getting my armor charges right now before I finalize the last couple nodes. So like right there, I did that's a 1, 2, 3 kind of thing I was talking about. I did 1, 3, 2. But actually, apparently, when I shot the 4 nodes earlier, even though I got the red hit markers, that one didn't proc. This is recorded live, by the way, so you'll hear my Discord mute every so often. So enemy just spawned down here. My armor charges are down, so I'm gonna take the time to get my armor charges back up. I saw the shadow of the boss above me, so yeah. Sorry, you're gonna hear the Discord thing a little bit. It's me muting and talking to the stream. Popping my weld just before damage starts, and then right when damage starts, fusion grenade, Leviathan's breath, boom, go. Simple, super simple. If you don't have the catalyst, it's gonna be a little worse. You'll probably net a higher phase count in total. If you don't have the catalyst for Leviathan's breath, I probably won't even run it and probably just stick to a linear. But it's up to you. The mechanics and the damage phases are very short here, so pretty solid damage. Probably gonna be a 5 phase. Like, I'm gonna say 99% is gonna be a 5 phase. If you miss any shot and it's not a crit, then it's a 5 phase. So, but yeah, that is it for that. And then on to the final boss. I'm rallying with reserves here. Remember Leviathan's breath? The only reason I wasn't rallying with reserves is because the catalyst gives you full reserves as a trait. So, gonna start off kill the hydras. You gotta do it for the mechanics anyways. So. I'm not even gonna try proccing Karnsteins off these guys just because I don't want to take so much burst damage from them, the Hydras, and the Wyvern itself. If I take too much damage at once, I'm just gonna straight up die. So burn down the Minotaur, get my restoration times 2 off of him, and then I start the encounter. Most of this is just gonna be the normal encounter, so you probably don't even have to watch this. You can just skip to the damage part if you want. But just remember to proc your armor charges before you shoot the final node. So, going in, getting the nodes all prepped. That's one. And then the second one, right now I'm trying to get a little bit of the armor charges, the orbs, like to stack in the middle, so I can just come by and grab them later. Didn't happen though, so I'm just going to grab the one that's there. But I'm already at 2 armor charges, and I'm like, alright, I should be pretty good to just walk in here and finish it, and then I'll snag them on the way out. That grenade will give me 1 too right there. There's my Phoenix Dive coming in clutch. I'm going to go here and get my Restoration times 2. Very risky move. Or Restoration times 1. Very risky move by me there. But I grabbed my final orb. I missed the node. It's the bottom right one. Going to shoot this right now. Shoot that. Shoot that. Boom. And my armor charge is going to run out here. So a good thing to do would be to burn down the Minotaur. I don't remember what I'm doing here. But a good thing to do would be to burn down the Minotaur and then either try to get a rapid kill on him with your Siphon, if there's any extra adds, or use your melee or your grenade to get the final orb. I think is what I do right here. Yeah, okay. Yep, good. So armor charge runs out here. Unlucky. That was a mistake. If your armor charge, so right now it's at, alright, so my armor charge is at 15 seconds. 2 out of 3, right? If I'm at armor charge 15, 18 seconds, whatever it is, or armor charge 1, it doesn't matter. Any time in between there, as long as you have that charge, if you pick up another orb, it will automatically refresh the second one, because that's what we're at right now, 2 out of 3. So it will give us the full timer for that and the full next armor charge. So you want to make sure you're grabbing your orbs just before your armor charges run out, so you don't have to grab another one after. I might have explained that terribly, but we're going to play by the door because we're going to be using Fusion Rifle for damage. So Dragon's Breath immediately. You're going to put your weld on just before the door opens. You're going to have Dragon's Breath, and then go straight into using Fusion Rifle damage. The Season of the Wish, you have Revitalizing Blast, so I threw my melee out to proc the weaken. 15% damage right there. And then your damage rotation is going to be Rocket, Fusion, 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 Fusion. Sorry, 4 Fusion. I don't know what that was for. Rocket, Fusion, Fusion, Fusion. Rocket, Fusion, 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 Fusion. You know, etc. So, Rocket, 4 bursts of Fusion. Rocket, 4 bursts of Fusion. And if your charge rate is fast enough, then you can. I think you can do 3. So I was playing music and I couldn't hear my auto reload, so I was just going for 4. I didn't want to mess up my damage. That is not the final damage. That is the final damage for Sunbracers. This is the final damage for a good run with Karnsteins, Dragon's Breath, and then this right here. So it's right at the eye. I think it's just a 4 phase. So you can definitely 5 phase that. And then right here, oops, sorry, went too far. This right here is a Sunbracers build. It's a little more, as you can see. I'm gonna try to get it on the actual frame. So here's no Sunbracer or Karnsteins, and then Sunbracers. So as you can see, it's not that much more for how much of a pain in the ass Sunbracers is to proc. But Sunbracers does guarantee you that forward phase. So up to you. If you're gonna run Sunbracers, you got to make sure you get a Minotaur low, and then as the Ghidorah's going more, and it's about to go into the damage phase, right? Make sure you snap. You get the 4 seconds to start your Sunbracers, throw it on your wells super, super fast, and then go for it. But yeah, not a terribly hard dungeon. More tedious than anything. Warlock isn't as good as it used to be since Starfire got nerfed. That was like its only real damage output. And yeah, I know you can use Strand. I'm not well versed in the Strand Warlock verse, so but yeah, nothing crazy. It's a pretty simple dungeon. None of the mechanics are super hard, and none of the enemies do that much damage besides the supplicants if they gather up, the wyvern if he gets too close, and second encounter you don't really even take that much damage. So that's it. If you need any help, stop by the streams. I know I've been kind of slacking lately, my bad. Join the Discord. You can shoot me a message, you can at me, whatever. I'll also have all the dim links in there. They should be up with the video or just barely after, depending on if I forget or not. I shouldn't forget. I'll forget. Anyways, that's it. I'm going to roll the outro now. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching, and if this helped at all, please consider leaving a like, comment, or subscribe. I plan on continuing throughout the rest of the dungeons that have the Solo Fallout emblems, and some Final Shape content, so make sure to stay tuned for all that. I also make Tarkov content, and I might be switching over to Helldivers content soon, so let me know if that sounds interesting at all. There's a members program if you want to join that as well. It's just for supporting the channel, and you don't get any sort of real benefits. You'll get some badges for the live streams, a cool Discord role, and maybe early access to videos if I post them early enough. Just remember this is a subscription-based model, so please cancel whenever you're done. Alright, that's it. I'm going back to playing Helldivers. Thanks for watching, and hopefully, I'll see you around.